being told hockey sense can't be taught. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I agree with that in the fact that, yes, I grew up with that, but I think that has changed. I think that's changed. And I think it's changed because, and some of you guys are a good example of this. Those of you that were actually teachers, that were educators, you really understand progression. You really understand process. And that's one thing that I have noticed within a youth organization. The individuals that volunteer, that are teachers, that are educators, they understand process. They understand what you're talking about, Wally, as far as that triangle goes. Like, they get that. It's the people that have never had that, that are just result oriented, that don't understand the importance of the process. And 100% with the type of drills that you're talking about, the game, teaching the players, yes, you can teach what is called hockey IQ. You can improve it. Some players have it as a natural gift, I think. Others struggle with it. And there's others that can actually learn from those drills. And I think you also have to point out to them that the fact that you understand this tactically does actually mean that your hockey IQ is improving. I think you actually have to let them know that that's the end result of this too, parents as well as coaches. So yes, back in the day, yeah, you either had hockey IQ or you didn't. I could teach you to skate, I could teach you to shoot, but if you don't have the IQ, you're out of luck. But that fortunately has changed, I think.
Hal?
I, um, so I agree with you, Wally, that the skaters have to have the fundamental skills to execute whatever drills are out there. And so you do need some deliberate practice on those things. My experience is if you do that and focus on it, they'll get better pretty quick. But then I guess we get into the tactical side of the game. And I've always believed that the game is an ongoing series of reoccurring situations. So zone entries is a great example. And I always focus on that with my teams. And, we don't tell them how to do it, but if they have the skills to turn to the outside with the puck and not stop, if they have the skills to come in big 90 across inside the blue line and force things to happen rather than just run up the wall and have the D come over and bang them, which a lot of kids will just do that forever. They'll do that their whole career. If you give them other options and other ideas and not dictate them, the kids will do it. They will come off the ice and they'll say, "Coach, did you see I did that big 90? I said, "How'd it work?" "That really worked good. I'm going to try that again." And that's the Gretzky move, or however you want to call it. But it's creating time and space. So when we're dealing with kids that are under 15, their ability to process information is not the same as an adult. They don't have the awareness of what's going on in the environment around them like an older player. Now, girls get it sooner than boys because their brains develop a little bit faster. So I've had a lot of success, I guess, by teaching kids options in situations that they face every time they get out on the ice. Every time they get out there. And you can do it with face-offs. You can do it with zone entries. You can do it, with your forecheck. I mean, there's lots of things that they just do in the course of a game. And then you sort of break those things out into smaller pieces and then put them back in. I think one of our biggest challenges in teaching this stuff, like letting the game teach the games, is the kids don't skate enough. They do not get enough repetition at because they practice a couple times a week. And as we've discovered, they only get 9 or 10 minutes worth of meaningful ice time in a practice. So if they play small area games, they get 25 or 30. So they get in an hour a week. I mean, I practice my guitar an hour and a half a day, and I'm still not making much progress. And it's kind of silly to think that people can master the skills required to play a game like hockey and only get, in our case, almost 95% of our practices are half ice, which limits, and then the rosters are small. Rosters are only 12, 13 skaters. So we're really limited in what we can do in a practice. And I think that's too bad. One of the things, there was a guy named Bob O'Connor that was here from Minnesota, Rhode Island guy, played at Providence, coached forever, USA hockey guy, hung around. Anyways, he collected videos from when we were using videotape from all over the world, all over the Russians, the Finns, the Swedes, US or whatever. And Bob, being who Bob was, he always bought 3 of everything. And he gave me a lot of those videos 25 years ago. And I would sit in the evening and I would watch these videos. And of course, they're all in the native language, so I couldn't understand a word. But the game's the same. But what I noticed is that they get a lot more ice time in Europe than our kids do. They play about the same number of games in my calculations, but they start in the 1st of September and they play until May. And we start in November and we're done at the end of February. Oh, can't hear you.
They start 1st of August, basically.
Yeah. I mean, so, and they're not, and the other thing I noticed was, and I've seen, Tarasov running clinics in Russia on these tapes. And they're not in a hurry to do everything, but we're in a hurry because we feel like we have so many things we need to get to in 60 minutes. But these videos were 2 hours long, 2-hour ice sessions. And so, and they were doing multiple things on the ice and, working with the D, but they're not in a hurry. They're about getting it done and doing it right. One of the things I noticed in all the drills from Europe were when you start a drill, if there's a defenseman involved, he always starts off backwards. Start off every drill going backwards and then pivoting, whatever, in doing puck retrievals. I think we're challenged just because the kids don't get enough practice ice. And then I did have a parent one time tell me, I asked him why he brought his Bantam age kid up to the high school program and not play, and he can play Bantams. And he says, yeah, well, you ought to go watch their practices sometime. Not good. And their games, they shorten the bench, they do all this stuff. He said, I don't want my kid in that environment. And